Timer focusing. Alright, hey y'all. How is everybody? And today we are going to be talking about Lilith and Aries, the first one, because this time around I'm going to be going in order. Welcome to the Brute. These people have an inner warrior spirit, a soldier that is just bursting to come out at every opportunity, appropriate or inappropriate, and they have this difficulty mastering that belligerence that they have that's just spilling out of them all the time, and as a result they might have movements or bodies that are very sporty and sinewy and just very they're constantly just jerking around, moving a lot. Not necessarily like a Gemini, but more in a violent fashion, like very fast, sudden movements that are maybe even a little awkward. It's painful because Aries is the first sign, and with the beginning of life, there is always pain in order for the thereafter everything else to flourish. Like in war, you can't have a beautiful, peaceful village without having a war first. And it's after the war has been fought and solved that the blood dries up, and then the greenery and the pastures, they all grow from it. And that's why Aries is the first one. And there's this subconscious desire and both fear of wanting to be on the front lines, the one who's number one, who's the person who wins the battle. But the thing about that is, this is somebody who may be in a current or past life, or maybe has some kind of association to the sin of killing, not for the sake of just war, but for just impulsive killing. So not respecting the sacrament of life. I know I'm sounding a little too religious, but this is what we do when we talk about karma. It goes into all that stuff. This is somebody who needs to learn how to balance the respect for life and know when it is too much what they're doing. And oftentimes I've personally met people, several in this placement, and they've always had this problem with controlling their anger, controlling their violent mannerisms. I had an art teacher in college. He was very much so. He was very much, everyone knew he didn't mean well, but it was just so draining to be around him because he could not stop, whether it be bullying, whether it be constantly just not settling down, just always having to go around to do something, meddling in someone and provoking people. And just, it's very annoying to be around somebody, unless they have a you know, a balance over this energy. But with Lilith, this takes a turn and makes the person focus too much on, they can't control it. That's the part with Lilith. And so with Lilith and Aries, these people have trouble with just, you know, they have this self-importance, this egocentrism. And it's not necessarily because, you know, deep down maybe that's how they know, and they probably know the truth, but they just, it's so embedded in them. And at the end, oftentimes he'd be like, okay, I know I went too far today in class on you. I was a little too hard on you. Because oftentimes he would be doing these things like putting me on the spot, or putting other kids on the spot, and just trying to make them feel like in danger, like, you know, uncomfortable, like you're being put on the spot. It's very much kind of like an attack strategy, and he constantly puts you into this position where you have to like fend for yourself, and it's like impulsive. And so when the damage is done, then they can step back and say, I probably went too far with that, yeah. But in the moment, that's the thing about war. You have to be on your feet. You have to be ready to go. You have to be like the kind of person, the best type of soldier or warrior is one who doesn't think twice. They just go. Because in war, every second counts. There is no time to think or fear. You have to have that spirit that's just like a go-getter. That's the Aries warrior spirit, and it's in this Lilith, it turns it into someone who's spontaneous but reckless, active but rude, demonstrative but cruel, flirtatious but fatal. They have this natural, just fatalistic, and they just can't help it themselves. It's like they get a kick out of it. And it's not even that they know they shouldn't or shouldn't do it. It's like they can't help themselves. And that's why I would always, you know, around people like this, like, okay, it's just, we're just gonna have to put up with this person, because it's like these little games, like, it's because when it all said and done, as soon as they feel dominant and they won the battle, oh, now everyone's a loser around you. What are you gonna do now? You won the game. And then it's not fun anymore. And then they're like, yeah. So that's what they need to know. They need to seize the moment. They have to think in the very present and stop themselves before they attack or make an action, because they have this, it's very easy for them to set like a domino effect thing going on, like first this, then this, then this, and they all of a sudden, you know, they pull out all the stops, and there's no stopping them, because they have that spirit in them, and they're not going to stop until they've won. And everyone around them might as well just let them have their way, because that's just who they are, and they won't stop until they feel that, whether it be a physical dominance or a psychological dominance. Just checking my timer. Yeah. So oftentimes people like this, they will have a difficulty maintaining not just relationships but friendships, and they'll have this fixation around people. It's like, yeah, friendships end, but no, Lilith and Aries person, because they don't have to end. You just gotta examine your actions, and not just examine the actions, but examine your response, like your inner impulses, You have to control those impulses of wanting to dominate everyone around you in some form or another, and trying to defeat them, because you don't get friends by defeating everyone around you. You need to stop yourself and kind of zen. And some of them will have this like fixation on things like zen and meditation, and trying to like detach themselves from, you know, the past, the future, and they just need to stop. They need to stop, and they need to just contain themselves, and they need to obtain a perspective on everything that they do in the current moment, because that's what they have the most trouble with mastering. They have this vigorous fighting spirit, but sometimes you don't need to go to war. And that's also, you know, war has its place. And these people, they were people in past lives or in childhood maybe, where they had to constantly be on the alert. They were always taking the role of the fight or flight mentality. And it served them in some ways, but it stacked up a lot of, you know, what they call it, evolutionary deficiencies, psychological, like it's malfeasance. It's like it doesn't serve them any purpose, and it only gives them trouble now, because there's no place for it, because that time is already done. Or, you know, the whole point of Lilith is the struggle, the person, the fixation, the obsession, the preoccupation, whether the person likes it or not. And these people, this is the kinds of stuff that they're going to be having to learn how to balance. That unconquerable, like, you know, macho men, and some of the women, they might even be kind of, you know, they're not like your classic woman. They're kind of like in your face, you know, like, because it's passionate, it's violent, it's chaotic. They need zen. The essence of someone who is always overcompensating in combative situations, and they need to realize that not everything is a combative situation. They need to drop the now or never mentality, because sure, in the war zone that works, but you also need to build your life, and you can't just burn every bridge around you. And that sounds harsh, but these people can be very harsh, whether they mean it or not. And the people who grow closer around them, they will realize that. They will realize these people, they just can't help it. It's like taking candy from a baby. Like, they just gotta get it. It's like that bullseye target. It's like they can't not get it, because it's right there. It's dangling right in their face. These people have a hard time saying no to being the number one, the person who is the one in charge. They love that, and it's not necessarily that they want to be the people who win and are in charge. It's because they have that game spirit. So when they actually get there, they realize, well, if you're the winner all the time, then what's the point, you know? And that's gonna have to be it, guys. I hope this was an informative video. Next one's gonna be in Taurus, so see you then.